There. There. Huh. Just a few months ago, I thought I was living the American dream, owning my own business, you know, the suit and tie thing. But at the end of the day, I didn't love it. It wasn't fueling my passion. So I sought out a position in a brand new industry, which led me to MAP. I've always been into cars, and now that I'm here doing marketing and content creation, it got me thinking, why not me, right? Why shouldn't I give a shot at building a car that I could enjoy and put it up on YouTube to share my passion with other enthusiasts? The only problem is, what car? And what can I possibly do that hasn't been done before? What's going on, you guys? In today's episode, we plan on it being pretty simple, right? Take a part off, put a part on. We started with the exhaust manifold, and that led to us needing to take off the downpipe. Taking off the downpipe led to us needing to take off the exhaust housing on the turbo, which led to us realizing that there were some unforeseen issues with the turbo itself on the car. So in this episode, you're gonna see us tear into this thing with full intentions of putting new parts on today. However, that just didn't happen. So today you're gonna see us tear into the car, and you'll have to stick around to the end to see which way we're leaning towards with the new parts that we're going to put on the car. So stay tuned, this is a good one, but again, we ran into some problems. You'll see.
What do you mean there's a trunk? Well, then put the trunk in the trunk.
We're gonna put the trunk in the trunk.
We already talked about putting the brack in the brack, now you can put the brunk in the brunk. Oh, that works. All right.
Sick.
Oh yeah, I'm Charlie. I got this whole back trunk area and I just don't put anything back there. I don't know, Rick. That might not be what happened.
Okay, Marty. So for anybody who's still running a stock Evo 10 manifold, the main reason that you'd want to replace this is because from the factory, they're essentially destined for failure. And when I say that, if you haven't looked it up, it's not really a matter of if it'll crack, it's really when. The first step in installing it, as you guys have seen here, is removing this strut bar brace. And so we're just gonna get that taken out, and it should open up quite a bit of space for us to get at these bolts. Now in my instance, I have obviously, again, an aftermarket tubular exhaust manifold that was put on the car. So I need to get a little bit more creative with the tools because whoever put this back together did not use the same OEM ones. I'm assuming because they snapped them somewhere along the lines, but apparently one of my bolts is not a 14. So what are we doing here, Tiny? No. I mean, it's obvious that we're heating it up with a torch, but how come?
A little tense. You need a little tense. You go get a spa day. We're giving our friend a spa day. Loosen him up a little. So we brought in my friend the blue wrench to help us out. Oh my God, still. You might need some more spa time. I'm gonna break something.
More heat?
Maybe. There's Charlie's chum bucket of tools.
It says Craftsman on the side, so you know it's legit.
There we go.
Getting her?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Had to do the old, before you can loosen, you have to tighten trick, you know?
You know, that seems a little counterintuitive, but it works.
Sometimes that's what you gotta do.
So to get this super stuck bolt off, nut off, first thing was heating it up with Mr. Blue Wrench and coming back with a super long ratchet and letting good old physics do the work for you, huh?
I don't know if it's physics or if it's just science in general.
Well, either way, we're getting her off. So you'll repeat this on the other bolts, and we'll get started on the next set. So for the record, we got this thing so hot it was glowing orange. So if you're going to follow that same strategy, that's how hot it was. I don't know what that temperature measures out to, but it's damn hot.
Oh God.
Oof.
Bye, socket.
Goodbye.
Over here now. Ow! Ooh, yeah, don't touch that.
Yeah, it's hot, huh?
I think my, well, that's hot too.
Heat transfers through metal, you know.
Very well.
Jesus.
In today's episode of the Evo, we spit on Kyle's sockets and listen to the sizzling noise it makes.
You gotta do something productive, huh? In the only video we've uploaded installing the manifold that we're going with, we did it with the engine out of the car. And a lot of people thought that we did that because it was too difficult to do with it in the car. And if you go back and check those comments, you'll probably see what people were talking about and see maybe why. But Tiny is the man who's done this. How many times would you say you've done this?
Several.
All right.
Definitely several.
Several times, which means more than 5?
Yeah, probably
More than 5. So he's done it more than 5 times, and that's why
I'm supposed to be a thief, and I like gonna get a trophy. Am I supposed to be team respectable for that?
Yeah, you get the respect from the
star.
Evo community. You get a gold star merit for the week.
All right.
But
Thanks, guys.
I brought him in because obviously then with someone who's done it this many times, it's helpful for me to see how he goes about doing it, the tools he uses, and then help convey that to you guys so that if you go with the same manifold as me, you've got some sort of an idea how to do this in a more real world application where you're not gonna remove the engine from your car to put that on there. And realistically, it's probably not even possible to put the manifold back in the car with it installed, or the engine back in the car with the manifold installed already. So here we are pulling it out. We got all the bolts out we needed?
No, we have 2 more to get. I'm gonna get you 1 and then you have to figure out the last one.
Fair enough. I can do some figuring out. Look who's got the primitive tools now.
You didn't like that I called you out in that video?
No, I just had to get my jab in where I could. I saw this opportunity, so I picked up the camera to point out all the primitive. Is that a wrench that you're holding?
I don't know where they...
What kind of power tool is that? Anyways, guys, so it's obviously the next morning. I got out as much of the bolts as I could see a way to do. I'm not as familiar with Tiny's tools. And so he's helping me get the rest of these bolts out of the top part of this exhaust manifold. Then we're gonna get the car up in the air, get the downpipe out, and just get this thing moving along. It is more than definitely time to get this out and get the new parts in. Anyways, we're gonna keep knocking this out and we're gonna get the new stuff in. All right, so you guys might notice that we are currently in a different location than we were previously shooting. And it's for a good reason. The person who installed this, there's no way that they installed this exhaust manifold with the turbo in the car. Meaning they had to have taken the turbo out, installed the exhaust manifold, and then put the turbo and the exhaust manifold back into the car. So now we have to do the same thing. However, we also have to drop the downpipe off of it as well. So what we're planning to do here is just replace the downpipe because that was on the list of things to do anyways. So we're gonna take out the downpipe, we're gonna possibly take out the turbo. We may not have to, but then we'll be able to get this exhaust manifold out and get it back in the car. So in my pile of junk over here right now, again, we just literally drug everything over from the other side of the shop. I've got 2 different downpipes. I'm gonna show you which one I'm gonna put on the car, but not quite yet. For some reason, the bolts on the downpipe that we have here were super easy to actually break. So I'm literally just taking them out by hand right now with my primitive tools. Tiny, I see you.
All right.
Number 1 of 5. All right, then I don't need this adjustable wrench. What'd you find? Did you find it?
7/8.
As you guys saw, we got the downpipe disconnected from the test pipe. Now we just got to get these plugs out without damaging the wiring. And then the downpipe should just come right out and we can get the new one in. And that should also leave us enough room to push the turbo down to get the exhaust manifold out entirely. So getting this out is the first step now, I guess, in removing the actual exhaust manifold from the car. So. Gasket down.
I guess you got it out. Okay,
oh. I did all the hard work.
You did.
Now we've got our AMS wide mouth downpipe out of the car, which I wasn't even aware we had an AMS wide mouth downpipe. Were you?
Yeah, actually I was.
Well, thanks for telling me.
I like to keep you on your toes.
You did something. What's going on, you guys? So it is now another day here at the shop. All I got to do here to get this manifold out, as you can hear, it's all detached. The only thing I got to do is detach the actual turbo from this bracket down here so that we'll be able to push the turbo down and lift the manifold out. So we're gonna give that a shot. All right, are we getting it out?
No, you got to cut the lines off.
What's the problem?
Just can't move it enough. Oh.
Oh, you see that thing? You see it come out?
That looks kind of nice.
Yeah. It's just not very easy to get on or off. Oh, all right, sweet. So as you guys can see now, we've got the downpipe off, the header exhaust manifold. Sorry, I figured out there's actually a difference. Everything's off down there. Now we just gotta clear out the random bolts that fell off in the process, and we can start putting this thing back together.
All it took was a calculated yank to get it out.
How calculated?
Calculated.
Math.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, so there you go. We're gonna start putting the new parts on. It's about time you guys can find out what parts are going on the car instead of just what parts are coming off the car. So here we go. Big nasty thing out of there. We welded nuts onto the top of these studs to try and get them off. And if you can't tell, they broke right off. So now we gotta unbolt the wastegate actuator thing from the downpipe housing and take this whole thing out so we can just cut them off and get them out. Honestly, now that the manifold's off, I feel a lot better, but now like, it's like one problem after another. This is without a doubt like the least fun modification to do to any Evo 10, because everything is, as you guys have seen, behind the engine. So like, that's one barrier, is like you literally can't see what you're doing. And the other thing is just like, it's such a tight fit back there that it's just uncomfortable to get at everything. It's like the nut is loosened like almost all the way, but the clamp's just like not releasing itself. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put it up on the lift and try to get under there from a pry bar to get that. Got her. All right, the clamp is off. There. Huh. That whirly boy.
You probably see it might have a spare exhaust housing.
I mean, if you do, I'd go.
This one's been repaired already. You can see, like, that's a thread repair right there.
Okay.
Okay, so at this point, I would look for cracks to make sure it's even worth.
I mean, does that look like it?
Yep, that's a crack. So this thing's junk anyways.
Okay. This is the crack that we're talking about right here, you guys. So it's not like, obviously, to me, like, that's not a super obvious like crack all the way through.
Yeah.
But like in due time, I think the point is that that would be.
and Mitsubishis aren't really known for having the best exhaust housings.
Okay.
Like DSMs and Evo 10 stock manifolds are really prone to cracking. I mean, their turbo exhaust housings are no different.
Oh, yeah.
So a smart guy, yeah. I mean,
And then even on this side, it's even worse.
yeah, it generally cracks never stop spreading.
No. Check that one out. That's even worse right there.
Yeah, the whole
That-
outside is bad. Yeah, race cars.
If this was my personal car, like genuinely, I would be so devastated right now. Like if it was me as a customer and I pulled this off, I'd be so sad today. But instead, I'm kind of excited. We finally got that hot side off. This clamp was doing its job and holding the turbo on, but eventually we busted it loose and got the turbo, this hot side housing off. But once we pulled it off, we were looking at it, Eric and I, and saw this first crack. And then as we were looking at it even further, we saw this crack. So instead of just putting it back on that way, right? Essentially, we're gonna look into either replacing the turbo altogether with a stock frame turbo option or getting a new OE replacement for this from Mitsubishi. I mean, as with anything, I mean, if you guys had this happen or I had this happen on a personal vehicle, this is still a very expensive thing to replace. And I know as a customer, I've worked on my own vehicles before, and just like as an individual, and when stuff like this goes wrong, it's pretty devastating. And regardless of who you are, whether you're MAPerformance or just some guy working on your car in your driveway, this isn't a cheap thing to replace. And as fun as it would be to just literally walk back there and go pull a turbo off the shelf and slap it on and let her buck, I know that that means a lot of tuning that Tiny's already done that goes to waste. I gotta get some approval from the powers that be and see what the best route is to go for this, because either way, we can't put this back on the car as it is. I don't feel like that's normal shaft play.
You have a bad turbo. Feel the up and down.
Yeah, and you can even hear it back and forth too.
Back.
I mean, the whole
forth.
turbo's
Work
basically
the middle.
tuned, or toast.
What a power robber.
You wanna know why this was probably making only 300 horsepower
I
at
was just
like
about to say
the best tune we got on it with Tiny? It's probably because the turbo's f***ed. When you buy a car that's heavily modified and you buy it at the cheapest possible price you can, your expectations should be set accordingly, and something like this shouldn't necessarily throw you off.
And in the grand scheme of things, everything has a service limit. This turbo wasn't gonna last forever. It's been bad for a while,
Right.
okay? But you don't know unless
You
know,
do this.
like-
It may, I mean, it looks minimal, obviously, but like that's unacceptable on a turbo.
that's a lot.
Yeah. Hey, Tiny, I got some news for you, pal.
You got a bad turbo.
Turbo's bad.
Well, this
It's
is all crap.
it's cracked
I do that.
and got tons of shaft play in the turbo.
In or out or up or down?
Both.
Well, if you look, you have a whole bunch of like every single one of these fins is damaged.
Yeah.
So like that's not great.
I would genuinely be super devastated if this was my own car, but I'm actually kind of excited to see where this is going to go. I mean, I don't know if we're going to go with an OEM replacement turbo at this point. I don't know if we're going to go with like a stock frame turbo replacement of some kind of upgrade at this point. I'm not really sure. Got to kind of figure things out. But stick around, you guys, for the next episode to figure out which downpipe and which manifold we're going to put on the car. I'll be honest, depending on which route we go with the turbo, it could be a toss-up still at this point. As far as the manifolds go, but anyways, make sure that you guys subscribe for future content just like this, and if you haven't already, give us a big old thumbs up on the video because it does help out our channel a ton. And also, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but within the first like 24 hours, I respond to every single comment that's down below. So if you have something that you want to say about the build, something that you think that we should do, or a suggestion, or just your thoughts overall, if you want to tell me I'm doing a great job, because I know you think I am, then let me know down in the comments below, because I'm there listening, I'm there responding and engaging with you guys. So shout out to the comment squad. Anyways, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.